Yeah, I was just wondering what you all thought about the new map Fracture, either competitively if you scrimmed it at all, or just casually if not.
I think it's definitely a fun map. I don't know how it'll play out competitively, but my first impression of the map was that it was genuinely fun. I played in some like Pro 10 mans when the access was given out to some select members, I think to all the VCT participants, and it was actually super fun. And I can't can't say the same about other maps that got released. Like when Ice got released, I didn't think it was a very fun map, but that's just my first impression of it.
I was gonna say like the map looks fun, but like competitively, I don't know how that'll turn out.
Yeah, we haven't scrimmed it yet because we're just, focusing on game changers and it's not in the map pool for that. But I definitely think it's interesting because like the agent comps that I'm seeing on it are very like not typical compared to the rest of the maps. I'm just curious if like the meta for like that map will be particularly different from the rest when it is in competitive play.
Okay, let's go to Lynn next.
So, being the veterans of the scene, I just wanted to get brief thoughts on the other teams trying to catch up. How do you think they're doing? And general thoughts on if you think they are able to do so.
I believe all the other teams are improving. And we came into this tournament with the expectation that all the other teams would be improving, especially those who have signed earlier on in the scene and also had have time to been developed with like their staff, namely like their coaches being involved. Can't say the same thing for teams that just recently got signed and just recently added staff to them. Can't expect them to improve within such a short time, but yeah, that's about it.
Okay, Jess, you're up.
Hey guys, congrats on getting in again. It's good to see you guys here for the third tournament. You guys have been around for all three of the tournaments and you've been around as a team for a while. I would like to know your thoughts on the amount of teams that are signing women's rosters anywhere in the esports scene and how it's, been a thing that's been more popular and more prevalent nowadays.
It's pretty insane to see this many signed teams and an esport female team signed. I played competitive CS like a couple years ago, and there was literally 4 teams that were signed, and it was literally just like Dig and CLG Red who like traded winning every tournament in CS, and it was kind of boring that there was only like 2 competitive teams and then a couple like small orgs that would sign other female teams. But there's like every major org right now signing teams in Valorant, and it's pretty incredible. And it's pretty awesome that we're also like the first ones that got signed as well and have had like the most experience.
All right, let's go to Pedro.
Sorry for the delay. I mean, as since the game Valorant is growing in popularity amongst the marginalized genders and communities that these type of tournaments are trying to highlight, a lot of fans have cited you guys as the main reason for following not only the game but the community in general. And so, what do you think of being on such a high pedestal in this part of the Valorant community? And this goes out to everyone who can answer.
I think it makes sense that we are put on such a high pedestal because we have won every female tournament so far. And I guess until another team can beat us, well, it'll kind of stay that way. We're kind of just expected to win at the moment. But yeah.
I think it does make sense, and I'm honestly just really happy that like there are so many like even players who are just starting, like female or other marginalized genders, who are just like beginning to play Valorant, looking up and seeing that like it's possible to like make this like your life and make it like really into a career instead of just like a hobby, which I feel like has been really hard to do. But I like that we can set that example.
All right, let's go to Lynn.
Are there any teams that have surprised you for their qualifying run?
Nothing in particular, other than the fact that that not all the signed teams made it through. An unsigned team, I think Polaris. I don't know how to pronounce their name, but they ended up making it through. I think that is a bit surprising. You'd expect a signed team to be able to make it through, but other than that, nothing too surprising.
Yeah, I would say the biggest surprise factor is some teams aren't being as dominant as other teams should be. I don't know. Feels like some teams who have had more time with staff and have more time to develop versus these other teams and have the support behind them from orgs should be smacking these, I don't know, teams that just got signed, but that hasn't really been the case so far.
Okay, let's go back to Declan.
Yeah, kind of just have a fun one for everybody. I was just wondering if this is for all of you. If you could have anything as your crosshair just throughout the current system for crosshair, it could be anything like back in Black Ops 2. It could be a star, a logo, nothing at all. What would it be?
I wouldn't really change my crosshair from like the actual options that are in the game, but I just want more colors. I want the the option to choose what color my crosshair is, but that's the only thing I would say.
It would be cool if I could have my current crosshair, but like have it as like a rainbow and it's just constantly changing colors. I don't know. I think like that would be
Okay.
I feel like it'd be kind of cool. It's like I don't know, pulsing on your screen. That would be cool.
Okay, let's go back to Lynne.
So this is a follow-up to my last question. How about the performance of the unsigned teams? Could you talk a little bit more on that? And did any of those teams in particular surprise you?
I was kind of impressed by how far 24 Haven made it. They had a pretty good run. I think they won against some of the signed teams and got knocked out by CLG Red, maybe? I'm not sure. But definitely Polaris stands out the most. They were like the hardest competition in the qualifier. I mean, they only got 6 rounds, but that was more than any other team did. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, 24 Haven and Polaris specifically for me stand out.
I thought it was insane that CC Angels like 13-1 CLG on Ascent. That was honestly like super insane dominant performance by what's essentially like a pug team. And I think it just goes to show that there's a lot of girls in the scene that have a lot of drive, a lot of passion, and they don't just flop over just because they're playing a signed team.
Okay, let's go to Jess.
Okay, time for my fun one. If you guys paid attention during Masters, you saw that on Twitter, G2 hired a plane and taunted Sentinels. If you can hire your own plane to taunt, hold on. Oh, now they're X set, so nothing to lose / X set. What would your plane say?
I don't even know, honestly.
Bro, do we really need to get a plane for them? Like, I don't even think we would do something like that. Like, we don't even. It'd be more something to everyone else, you know. It wouldn't
that's
be
what
just
people
targeted.
do to us.
We'd target everyone, you know. We'd be like at everyone, like try and just get to us first, then talk, because all these teams be talking mad crap about us, but they can't even play us. They can't even get to us in grand finals.
Put 2-0 on it and call it a day.
Yeah, we're the sentinels of the women's scene. They got a plane for us, bro.
Mic drop. Let's go to Lynne.
So this week we also have EMEA going on, and we have some of the other regions as well. What are your thoughts on the international scene for Game Changers, if you all been following it?
I think it is thriving, and I'm honestly so shocked that it took them this long to have a European Game Changers, because that's what I've been looking forward to pretty much all year, is just them like fostering the EU female scene. And it's going to be so awesome to see who comes out on top there, because there's so many good teams that I've been keeping track of like on the side. But that plus the Brazilians are insane.
Okay, let's go back to Declan.
Yeah, this is more of a, I guess, philosophical question. I was just wondering why you all think that Valorant and Riot Games are the game and the developer to really take off in terms of a women's scene in esports, especially since Riot Games really hasn't supported League of Legends, TFT, and at the executive level is currently in litigation for certain employment practices against women.
I mean, I'll say that someone had to start. And I don't think really any of the major like developers or publishers of esports titles have a really good track record with supporting women in esports. So I think if anybody was going to start, we could have asked this question about anyone, right? But I do think that we've seen in Valorant in general that Riot has learned a lot of lessons from growing the League of Legends scene, and starting out with more of like a top-down, almost like artificially inflated scene in League of Legends, and then over time growing it to the point and kind of putting the grassroots underneath it. But because they have such a strong track record now with League, they can do the grassroots thing that communities tend to like. And I'm just glad that they've taken this opportunity to not just grow Valorant in a lot of different regions, and give a lot of representation to smaller regions very early, but also to invest in the women's scene, right? I think it's hard to say what their motivations are other than they want more people to be involved in esports and to play their game, which is really good. But I think they've clearly just been executing at a pretty high level, and I think we're all happy with what they're doing.
Anyone else for the team? What are we in before I move on?
Oh, I was just gonna add that like the first 50K, which we competed in and won, like started as like I can't remember who the original sponsor was, but it was like a community like kind of like thing, right? With like shoot, it was with Galorants, right? And Riot kind of like jumped in. I think that just like a lot of the success that has come from just women in general, like being active and being excited about this, like I think it would be silly to ignore and like not support that scene.
Thanks, Kat. Let's go to Pedro.
You guys talked about the other teams in this region, and so I'd like to know your thoughts on COG Red in light of their recent roster changes involving Bungie and Amnesia joining, and also because they've basically been your quote unquote rivals since you met them in both grand finals of Game Changers 1 and 2.
I feel like I could have more of a description when they could like have a set 5. They haven't had a set 5 for like a year. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how they do in this event. Because in like the most recent Game Changers, they made a lower bracket run, I believe. We played Shopify in the upper bracket, and COG made it to grands through the lower bracket. But in the qualifiers and stuff, they were looking pretty strong. And I was kind of surprised that they got knocked to the lower bracket, honestly. But in the qualifiers, they lost 2 matches, one to Shopify and one to Polaris. So it'll be interesting to see. And then they dropped their very first map of the event, like pretty hard to CC Angels, who didn't even qualify, but it was their very first map. And then they were pretty convincing on the next 2, if I remember correctly. So that maybe is just a one-off, but like Mel said, without a solid roster, it's hard to say. And they've, at least from what I saw of them in the qualifiers, they might not be as tight with their current iteration as they were with their previous one. So I think it's hard to say, but I think a lot of teams have something to prove at this event, and we're going to learn a lot about the state of the scene. It's been a while since we've all been able to match up against each other.
Okay, let's go to Lynne.
It seems like the people making decisions for Game Changers are trying to adapt, so they adopted a new Swiss elimination format. I was curious if any of you had thoughts about the new format, and Is there anything else is there anything you would like to see changed with the Game Changers format or the series in general?
No complaints here. I thought it was really great, especially for the purpose of the tournament, to like highlight and showcase female talent. I thought it was great. A lot of games to be played, and also as just being like a better team, you have less of a chance of getting upset when you have so many chances as well.
Yeah, it gives a lot of the teams who, you know, might have gotten knocked out early just like a lot more games to play. And I think it's really great. I liked it.
Big thumbs up for Swiss. Only thing I have to say is the start times or the distribution of matches on different days could be a little more ideal for us specifically, you know, because we have like students and stuff, but obviously that's not the case for all the teams. But other than that, it's a 10 out of 10, honestly.
You. And again, shout out to all the students who also play Pro Valorant. You guys are awesome. Any other questions for C9 White? Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you very much, C9 White, for attending your third VCT Game Changers Media Day. I am very confident that we will see you on Sunday at the winners press conference, as we have been doing for the past 3 times. So best of luck and good luck. We'll see you this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.